Now joining us to share his insights on President Xi's keynote address is Jia Xiudong. He's the Senior Research Fellow at China's Institute of International Studies. Welcome back to the show. I'd like to get your reaction to President Xi's keynote speech. It really emphasized cross-continent cooperation on the issues of development and economics.
Yes, 60 years ago, the Asian and African nations pursued independence and solidarity because that was the era of liberation from the rule of colonialism, and also there was the height of the Cold War. So they faced a very dire situation of seeking peace and how to develop their relations despite all their differences. Nowadays, it's a little bit different. Of course, they still face the daunting task of building peace, but development is now the top priority for all these countries. So in President Xi Jinping's speech, I noticed that he stressed the need for these nations to focus on development and forge closer relations, not only among themselves, but also with other developing countries in Latin America and in the South Pacific. And also, actually, he stressed the need for these nations, developing nations, to work with developed countries. He especially asked developed countries to provide assistance to the developing countries without attaching political strings. And so also he actually in the speech, he explained China's foreign policy of seeking win-win cooperation. So that is a key word in his speech.
President Xi also met on the sidelines with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe for about half an hour. It is their second meeting in less than 6 months. I want to get your take on it. Do you think this signals a warming of relations between these two countries at all?
Yes, it is a sign of soul in the relations. The relation is warming up, but it's still not warm yet. The meeting in Indonesia is just another follow-up high-level political interaction between the two leaders after their meeting in Beijing last November. And still, there is a long way to go for the two countries to improve their bilateral relationship. Still, the public in China is wary of what Prime Minister Shinzo Abe is doing in regard to the history issue, in regard to the territorial dispute over the Diaoyu Islands, and in regard to Japanese policy adjustment in the foreign policy and security areas. But still, there has been more interaction between the two countries in terms of economic trade and also in security. So we have seen dialogues between the two countries in the past few months, but they need to do more. So now the people watch very closely what Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has to say during the 70th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. And that will mean a lot for the future development of the bilateral relations.